What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. And guys, I want to talk to you about Jar Binks actor Ahmad Best. And Ahmad Best is employed. He's going to be employed. Ahmad Best is going to be working again. Oh, happy day! Good for him. It's just the rest of us that are unemployed. But anyway, Ahmad Best will soon be hosting, I think it's Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge on the Disney Plus streaming service. So this is very exciting news for Ahmad Best. See, this is what happens when you persevere. You know, there was a time in Ahmad Best's life when he doubted whether or not he wanted to go on. You know, the business, the industry is just so cutthroat. It had nothing to do with the fans, as some people might tell you. It had everything to do with the business and the industry and the media. All right, much like Jake Lloyd. Hopefully they can find a show for Jake Lloyd to host. Maybe something like Skywalker Family Double Dare or something like that. But anyway, Ahmad Best is sharing his opinions on whether he believes that Star Wars, the so-called sequel trilogy, what I call the Nyquil trilogy, lived up to George Lucas's dream and his intentions. And he has some very interesting things to say. So I want to read this and I want to get your thoughts on it. Now, Ahmad Best goes on to say, one of the reasons I said yes to this show was that kids have always lifted me up. He said these kids are lifting me higher than I've ever been lifted before. I don't know how that song goes, but anyway. He said one of the reasons I said yes to this show was that kids have always lifted me up. They've often given me the feedback and the positivity that I always look for. When I was Jar Jar, I would always get great responses from kids, and I really wanted to not just continue that, but to give back to the kids. Applause to you, Ahmad Best. Applause to you. It seems like so many people forget about that. The children. Think about the children. Everybody always has this dark view of the world and this cynical view of the world, you know, like Jake Skywalker was and everything. You got to be torn down and your heroes have to be fallen from grace and bitter. But no, Ahmad Best says he feels that it's very, very important that you give to the children and you be like as children are, you know? It reminds me of Mr. Rogers. I used to love Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers never compromised. His vision was always for the kids and it's timeless. I believe that if you show it today, I believe that if you give kids half a chance, they will be drawn, you know, to that imaginary world, you know, that challenges them to discover the world inside of themselves. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm reading too much into it. So let me get back to this. All right, so Ahmad goes on to say, I wanted to give them something else because Star Wars has since skewed older and there isn't very much for the kids anymore in Star Wars. All right, so let me read this without breaking up his quote. He says, one of the reasons I said yes to this show was that kids have always lifted me up. They've always given me the feedback and the positivity that I always look for. When I was Jar Jar, I would always get great responses from kids, and I really wanted to not just continue that, but give back to the kids. I wanted to give them something else, because Star Wars has since skewed older, and there isn't very much for the kids anymore in Star Wars. Well, that's very interesting, you know, because those of us who are older, who have watched these latest trash movies, you know, when we criticize these movies, the first thing people say is, it's just for kids. Look at yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. It's only for kids. Shut up. Just shut up. So what? It's retarded. The kids are retarded. You know, that's what it is. They look down on the kids. They have no respect for the kids. They don't respect the kids' imagination and the kids' intelligence. So they feel like if this dumbass crap is on the screen, kids won't know the difference if we just shut up. It'll somehow make sense to them. You know, the plot holes and stuff. They won't notice that stuff, except those of us who are parents who actually talk to their kids realize that that's not true. The kids also have been turned off by Star Wars, and you can tell that by the toys that don't sell and the merchandise that don't sell. The kids are not feeling Star Wars for a reason. And it goes on. The next quote here from Ahmad Best, all right, because he's giving his opinion, he is breaking it down, he's spitting that hot fire. All right, and he goes on, right? He says, it's very much for the millennials and Gen Xers like myself. So kids are kind of left out of these. And the kids have to go to the animated series in order to get their dose of Star Wars, or they do like Fandom Menace. Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace is very much a kids movie. The new iterations of Star Wars are not really skewed towards kids, which is not something that George ever really wanted to do. George was always about the kids, and he used to say that if you get the kids, you have fans for the next 20 years. He was very much about kids. This idea that the movies are for adults is a very new thing, to be honest. Well, like I said before, popular opinion seems to be that the movies are not for adults, they're for kids as well. I mean, you had, what's his name? The guy who hosts Politically Incorrect, Bill Maher, right? Bill Maher, or whatever it is, who criticized fans of Star Wars for being overgrown fanboys, who live in their mom's basement, who don't know how to adult, or they don't do adulting, or something like that, whatever he said, whatever bullshit he said. He who is into transvestites and trannies and, and all types of shit. That's Bill Maher, who wants to criticize other people for their pastime. But yeah, so Ahmad Best is saying that it seems that the sequel trilogy has betrayed the vision of George Lucas. And it's a very interesting and respectable view that he has there. I think it's half right. Now if you ask me, I would say that Star Wars is not exclusively for kids. It's not exclusively for adults. I would say that they're family movies. That's what I would say. Because after all, when George Lucas said that if you get them when they're kids, you have them for the next 20, as it turns out, 30 or 40 years, well, where do you think those older kids, at what point do we bring our kids, and our grandkids in to introduce them to this? Because Star Wars appeals to the kid inside of us. That makes it a family movie, because now it's a family experience that crosses generations. It's not that hard to figure out, These people get tripped up by thinking that they have to divide audiences. They divide audiences by age. They divide audiences by gender. They divide audiences by races, racists, and not racist, but races, and by religious beliefs and things like that. Instead of bringing the audiences together, it's like they have it backwards. They're all about separating audiences and putting them into this category and that category and that category, when George Lucas brought everybody together. That's the secret ingredient. The secret ingredient is in joining people, not separating people. So, Ahmad Best, I respectfully half disagree with you, because you are right. Star Wars is definitely for kids, but it's also for the kid inside of all of us, so that we may reach back, like I did with my son, and share it with him. And that makes it so much more enjoyable, because you're creating new memories, and what might be nostalgia for us today will be nostalgia for these kids tomorrow, when they remember how they enjoyed these things with their parents or their grandparents or their uncles, and friends and things like that. That's what good Star Wars is. It brings everybody together in a spirit of adventure and thrill seeking. And, that's how I feel about it. But what do you guys think about Ahmad Best's opinion that the sequel trilogy betrayed George Lucas's vision? Now, I can agree with that part. It definitely did that, but in terms of whether it just got away from being exclusively for the kids, is that really what it is, or is it family entertainment? That's how I feel about it. But you can get in the comment section and let me know how you feel about what Ahmad Best said. And of course, I give respect to Ahmad Best. I am so glad that you're hosting this show, and I wish you all types of success with that and everything. And hey, rock on, man. But for everybody else, you can get in the comment section and give your opinions on this. You can like, you can share, you can subscribe, and of course, when you subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get all notifications from when I drop these videos. In the pinned comment in the comment section below, you will find a link to my Twitter page. You can click on there, check me out. I'm always on there. And of course, there's a PayPal there too if you want to help grow the channel. All right, guys, that's it for now. I will catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.